Thank you, honey. Thank you, guys. I'm going to move this out of the way. Can you guys hear me? Very good. James, can you hear me? So I can't tell a lie. We were trying to create a little plan of how he could text me to give me feedback as it was going. Not happening on my watch, buddy. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great time. So, first of all, it's thrilling to be back on James's stage here. So, I never take this for granted. To be in the community that this man has created is such an honor. So, thank you for receiving whatever comes through for me tonight to you. So, let's see where this exactly goes. I have a couple of notes. I have a couple of ideas that I want to share. But I have a question. Mostly, by the way, I hang out in the workshop interactive space, right? So to just stand here and talk at you is a little outside my world. So the most interactive I want to do get tonight, though, is a little hand-raising moment, okay? Sort of hand-raising, real simple. So, question. Beginning of the year, by the way, Aaron, beautiful setup of where we're going here. You know how it all divinely, the twister, the whole, your beautiful talk, that you can feel the alignment. You'll see the alignment as it unfolds, I promise. How many of you, sort of just take a moment and go inside, go to your, I'm going to call it our best creative self. The best creative self. And find that part of you, and then really have a moment of, does that best part of you want to be expressed even more? Right? So put your hands up if you notice, like right out of the gate, yes, this best full expression of me wants more expression. Yes, I'm good. Most hands are up. Here's what I want for every single one of us in this room for the rest of our lives, that hand goes up forever until our final breath. Because what I know at my core is that we're here to express, right? We're here to express. And I'm going to make some key distinctions about why we don't in a few moments. But it is our birthright, it is our divine beingness to come here and create something. And I love that, James said the topic this month is Step It Up, and I wrote a book through Hay House called Play Your Bigger Game, which is really about the next level of our expression, right? Not about getting more, but expressing more, which we'll make some key distinction about. So I want to offer this idea. Again, I'm an author, I'm a trainer, and I talk a lot out there in the corporate world around this kind of stuff. But my job is primarily to activate. And I want to make a key distinction. Many of us are caught in looking for motivation. How many of you noticed, I want to be motivated, right? It's the wrong word. Motivation is outside of self. Let me go to some workshop. Let me go to hear another speaker. Let me read that book, and that will finally do it for me. You notice that part of ourselves? Now, yay to that. I don't want to make that wrong in any way. But it's the context, and as we look at that, my job, and I have to keep remembering this, and I think this is our jobs for all of us in this room, is to activate the creativity that lives inside other people. So I'm an activator, not a motivator. Right? Now, I want that for you in this room. Whatever your work is, whatever you go do, practitioner, artist, actor, whatever the form of your expression is, you're an activator, not an entertainer. Think about this in your entire life. If your job is to go activate other people's creativity, oh my gosh, who doesn't want to be around you? Right? So play with this language, because, by the way, we all know this in this room. I'm singing to the choir. No, actually preaching to the choir. I'm really not a good singer. Although I wanted to be. I was going to say about words, right? Our job, I forgot that thought. It's okay. Another one's coming in. Our job is to activate rather than motivate. Okay? So let's talk about this, where this gets a little bit bollocksed up. And I want to make another distinction, key words. We know the mindset of this beautiful community, right? Here's the mindset. We know we are divine, we are one with the Spirit. We all know that in this room. That's the mindset. Where we get stuck is sometimes I need a mind shift. So I want to offer a couple of key mind shifts tonight. And they're somewhat confronting. They're a little bit like, whoa. Because I can go back to the mindset, but then I go out of this room and I start to shift and drift. Shift and drift. How many of you notice you drift? That's why we come back here, right? We drift. It's like, whoa, right? And then I got to go, what was it again, right? So, yay to the mind set, but I want to offer some mind shifts. And around this idea of creativity. Because the talk of this title, by the way, is Create You. Like you, university. Create You. So I'm offering some like lessons inside the Create You University tonight. Okay? Here's the first one. And I do write them down because sometimes I never get the language because they're going to be in another book, and I want to make sure I say them right. Here's the first one. Again, think about this for ourselves. As human spirits running around the planet, what we're mostly looking for is a sense of security, I dare say. Most humans, right? I want to feel secure and safe. And generally what happens there, by the way, is we look outside of ourselves, many of us, I dare say not probably this room as much, but we look outside of ourselves to find something that finally will keep me safe. Sort of the normal way we operate. I dare say the place to look for our security is not outside of self. Again, we know this already. But the source of my security is my healthy relationship with my creativity. I want to say that again. The source of our security is our current or healthier relationship with our creativity. So I loved, Aaron, how you talked about it from a sort of an outside of self. So for a moment, think about what is my relationship with my creative best self? What is that relationship? Is it healthy? How do I talk to that part of me? Because that really is the way it works. How am I talking to that part of me? So again, the sort of the mantra around this idea is the source of my security is my relationship with my creativity. So again, big question for you to think about. What is my relationship with my creativity? Is it healthy? Or do I diss myself? Or do I have an idea and not go for it? Because, by the way, this is a little bit of a sidebar moment, but how many of you have read Big Magic? Elizabeth Gilbert's book. Okay, I'm going to swim into that tunnel for just a second. She spoke at our conference last year. She's now becoming a bit of a spiritualist, and lots of things are happening to her. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Eat, Pray, Love, right? She's the Eat, Pray, Love gal, right? She's now moved into a bigger game, really into the personal development business. But she talks about this idea that ideas are floating around in the universe. This is very science of mind, right? Ideas are floating around out there. And they're looking for a human to make them real. Right? Isn't that cool to think about it that way, right? It's like, and then it comes in, and we either do something with it or we don't. The universe doesn't care. It doesn't go, if you go, no, it doesn't go, you jerk, why didn't you choose me? It just goes and finds somebody else. Now, in her book, Big Magic, I recommend it highly. She has lots of examples of this. But a personal example of this in our own lives, just go for a second. You know those meetings? You're sitting in a meeting. Ever been in a meeting? Anybody in meetings, right? Boring meetings, right? And you have an idea, some topic, and you're like, I have an idea. But you don't share it. Kind of sit on it. And then about, 3 minutes later, oh my God, that was my idea. Happens all the time. So it's floating around the room. It's looking for a human. You said no. It said no problem. I'll go over and do Reverend. I'll choose Reverend Nancy. And then Nancy says, and then your ego goes crazy and goes, that was my idea. And everybody's like, well, you didn't say it. Right? So, again, very simple concept. But are we open to it? Do we let it come through? And do we dare to make it real? Because as soon as you give it voice, you're already starting to making it real concept. So, play with this idea. If ideas are floating around, they're looking for a home, they're coming through you. Do you act on them is the question. Don't have to. There's no obligation from the universe. That's what I love. That's what I love about this science of mind stuff, right? There's no obligation. It has no judgment inside itself. It's just like, I'm here to make something real. Do I pick you? Is it you or is it you, right? It doesn't care. It's so neutral, which is such a beautiful thing. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. This whole idea that we're artists, right? I think it's really key. I'm starting to, as I talk out in the world, I'm starting to underline we are all artists at our core. because we're all creating. So if we're all artists, then we need to take some responsibility for what we're creating, because, by the way, we're always creating. You're never not creating. In your seat right now, you are creating an impact on this room. Good, bad, or indifferent, we're not voting. It just is happening. So the concept to play with is, if I'm always creating, what do I consciously want to create? And I want to lean into a quote. Many of you will know her work, Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way, right? I'm preparing for this talk this week, and then this morning I'm kind of having some ideas and some new ideas, and then all of a sudden, literally, those moments the book, it literally just sort of jumped off it said, pick me, I'll help you. And I was like, okay, I'm going with you, Julia. So here's the thing. I love this. Art is a spiritual transaction. Artists are visionaries. We routinely practice a form of faith, seeing clearly and moving toward a creative goal that shimmers in the distance, often visible to us, but invisible to those around us. Difficult as it is to remember, it is our work that creates the market, not the market that creates our work. It's a huge distinction. Apple generated the market. So many of us get caught, unconsciously, by the way. It's not like we choose it. We go, well, what does the market want me to produce? It's the wrong question. Doing a study to find out what it needs, I think that's overrated. The sidebar moment, I do a lot of corporate work. Do you know that Apple has never, ever, ever done a focus group on any of its products, ever? Ever. It's never asked humans, do you like the color white? Do you want it to be metal? Do you want it to be glass? Do you want it? They never asked. Steve Jobs liked the color white. He wanted it to feel like this. All what we experience, by the way, is Steve Jobs' pure personal preference of what he loved. And he injected it with so much love and so much consciousness that we now experience it that way, I dare say. How long that'll last, we don't know. But it's a very interesting concept. Are you putting your love into something you want to create, or are you worried about, is it going to be liked, right? So, one more sentence. Sometimes we are called on pilgrimages on its behalf, and like many pilgrims, we doubt the call even as we answer it. But answer we do. Right? Thank you, Julia. I mean, that's the artist's way. It's like, this is not easy stuff some days. So, another key concept, kind of building here a little bit. I have no idea what time I started, by the way. Doesn't matter. Okay, good. Okay, good. We're good. You'll tell me when we're like, okay, good. I'll know, right? The room will be like, ugh. James will be like calling on the phone. No, I'm kidding. So here's a cool distinction. Play with this idea. This is huge. This is out there in the corporate world. I'm bringing it right into this room because it's basically science of mind, been called something else. 2 words. Am I living a creative life, or am I living a reactive life? Create, react. It's become a leadership training. Am I a reactive leader, or am I a creative leader? And I'll make some distinctions. Leaders are creators. What happens to good leaders is they drift towards managership, because it's easier to be reactive than it is to be creative. Reactive is emails pouring in and I just respond all day long and I don't get anything done. It's easier on the soul and the heart. Actually, I don't think it's easier on the soul at all. I think it's easier on the ego. It's easy to respond to emails all day long and go, I got a lot done. Now, I'm not suggesting, by the way, responding to emails is a bad thing. You're getting the context here, right? But how many hours in our week, this is the big coaching question, I'm a coach. How many hours a week do we spend, and I'm talking to myself as much as you, in a reactive state, stuff coming at me that I'm becoming a good manager of, or am I a leader, am I generating in my day or my week? And that's a simple, continuum. Reactive, oh my God, I spent the whole week just being reactive. I'm just voting about how the world is doing. I don't like that, I watch the news, that is really stupid. That's reactive. Now, we all know, not going to serve over time. Reactive, creative. It's a muscle to stop, go to the truth, that's the beauty of this work, go to the spiritual truth, and know I'm a creator. Because the paradox of that whole concept is even in my reactive state, I'm still creating. But I'm coming from a place that's actually not of service to me or to my world. Does that make sense? So we're never not creating. So it's a leadership model. It's a whole cool thing out there. We're doing lots of work inside Fortune 100 companies around where does the system live? Is everybody just reacting to each other? Or are we having creative conversations? Here's the world that you guys will get. Many people in this room are from the industry here, artists and actors. And improv is creative-based. That's what it is. It's a yes and way of being. You give me this, my job is to create from that. Instead of vote at it and go, well, that was stupid. Right? That's reactive. So again, I'm just bringing some very simple concepts that start to keep us in a creative, generative, producing way, if you will. That's my job out there in the world. So, okay, let's go to another one. Manage versus lead, we talked about that. Okay, what's the next one here? Oh, yeah. This one. This is the game changer one, I think. It's kind of right in the middle on purpose. Here's the language. I'm going to stand over here to represent it. Do to get. Do this and I'll get that. If I do that degree, I'll have that career. If I do this job, I'll get that income. And I'm going to make the distinction first, and then I'm going to back up into it and talk about it. Because we swim in this one, we don't even notice it. It's so real, and we believe it. It's the deal because we've been trained from right out of the womb. If you do this, you'll get that. If you behave right, you'll get love. We know the drill. I know, right? Can everybody breathe? It's all good. It's not the truth. It's made up. Because my favorite phrase, many of you know, is it's all made up. It's all made up. But we've grabbed onto some things and we've decided they are the way it works. Do to get, okay? That's over here. Over here, here's the opposite. I was looking for the cool word, but there's none. Express and receive. Do to get, express and receive. Right, that's the gratitude space. Many of us know what that feels like. This one is so subtle and so runs our life. We don't even notice it. And I want to give credit before I move forward. This is from the work of Lucid Living, lucidliving.net, profound, beautiful work of understanding how we truly manifest our reality from a spiritual context. It's remarkable work. Lisa Danley, she's been a coach in my life and a trainer in my life. And I want to make sure I give credit to this because it was so profound for me. And I just want to make sure I, say thank you, Lisa. But I want to underline it, okay? This is water we swim in, we're fish in it, and we think it's just the way it is. And everything feeds it and says it's true. If you do this right, you'll get that. So this is a little interactive moment. I'd love you to just throw out what's your version of this in your life that has happened to you. Maybe you're in it right now. What's your version of do to get that's going on for you right now in your life? I'll just name one right now. I can get this one going in 2 seconds. If I do this talk well, I'll get asked back. Right? Can you feel that? I mean, I James loves me. If I tank, hopefully he'll give me a second chance. I don't know, right? Who knows? But you can feel that we all have a spin like that, right? What's your version of that? Just throw one out.
I love my daughter, she'll love me back.
Right. If I do the right love, she'll love me back. Right. Thank you. What's another one? Just look at your life and see where that's so obvious now.
If I keep my job, I can pay my mortgage.
Right. If I do this job, I'll pay my mortgage. And again, this is where it gets very slippery, and I wish we had time to really coach this and tease this out. I don't have time for that, because I want to be very careful that you don't walk out of here and stop doing stuff that you need to do. Like, well, he told me to quit my job, and I expressed some stuff, and I didn't receive shit. It's like, that's not what I'm suggesting, okay? This is like a year-long coaching program we're talking about in one sentence, okay? Just be very clear, okay? So, but I know you guys get the essence of it, and it takes some teasing out. But just I invite you, and I think about this one. This one gets me all the time. Just slow down and go, I'm in a do to get context. Let me slow this down and recover. And then find okay, my job is to fully express in this situation and receive what wants to come back my way. Here's an example of this going on in my life this week. One of my coaching clients dared to have this dream of singing and performing. She's a bit of a country singer, writes her own music, just is auditioning this weekend, I think today, for The Voice. And she's like not young, fairly old. So there was a whole thing about age, and I was too old to do this and everything, you know. We really had to work through over a couple of weeks because she was caught in if I do this audition, I'll get picked, right? And we really had to pull it apart and realize, no, I'm actually here to express my love of fill in the blank. That's my job. And their job is to receive it, and my job is to receive back a yes or a no and be with that. I mean, it's a very subtle distinction inside of that. So the place to look in your own life is where do we get caught in that do to get way of being? And it's like swimming in water. I mean, it's just, oops. Now, the good news about science of mind, that's what the job of treatment is to pull me back to my truth. But there's also a mind shift that has to come after the treatment. I gotta stay, okay, good, I'm caught in that. Let me recover back to express and receive. So much to talk about that. That's a whole workshop in itself about receiving, because I think the real lesson of us human beings on this planet is the art of receiving. That is a double click, oh my gosh, that's a 12-month workshop. Because we keep trying to earn, and earning is exhausting. So I'm going to leave you with that. Ponder it in your heart. You know? There's no magic, well, there is magic, I dare say. The magic is knowing that it runs me and to catch it and return to the truth of who we really be. That's where it happens, right? We all know that in this room. I can't quite say that in an IBM room, but I have my versions, right? Okay, so I want to go to just a couple more. So, yeah, this is good. I think it's good, you'll tell me. So imagine we get this creativity going, right? We want to express something, and we come up with something, and we want to put it into the world, and this thing comes through me, and it's a song, or it's a movie, or it's a something, right? And here's what happens very subtly. Very subtle stuff. All of a sudden, I start to put a demand on it that it's supposed to take care of me. And everybody breathe. It happens, especially to artists. Well, I made this movie. It's supposed to fill in the blank. This is a little bit of the work of, Big Magic, but it's my version, it's my spin, because it happened to me this week. All of a sudden, we're designing a future conference in upstate New York for next June. Love you to come. We'll talk about it if you want. Talking about a lot of these ideas. But I start to get caught in, this better, and I fill in the blank. This better pay the bills. This better, you see how it starts to. And so I just keep catching ourselves to realize if I were to talk to my creativity, and I love Aaron, I love that you gave that. It was so beautiful. If I talk to my creative, not self, but even the thing that I'm creating, I talk to my conference and I go, what do you need me to be for you? Like, have a conversation with your creative thing. What does it need? And it literally came into me this week. It's a little weird that I'm saying this, but I believe it. I believe in this stuff, right? It literally came back and said, stop asking me to take care of your life. I am not here to do that. I'm here to be birthed by you, but I'm not here to take care of you. I didn't sign up for that. That's exhausting. You're high maintenance. You need a lot. I'll express myself through you, and I'll be made real, and we'll have a good time together. But please, don't ask me to take care of you. I didn't sign up for that job. Right? You see how it's like you get to have a relationship with this part of ourselves, healthier. And I know I don't know why, as I did that out loud again, it brings tears to my eyes a little bit. It's like, wow, that is so cool to forgive myself that I did that, and then just keep moving forward with the creativity. What wants to happen next with it? And again, the place I invite you all to look is ask it, rather than try to figure it out for it. That's our own stuff. Well, I think you need to be this. It's like, well, no, actually, what do you want to be? Right? Cool. Okay, so, another one. These are all kind of nested inside of each other. I'm just looking at the time. Yeah, good. So, imagine we get something cooking, right? And what comes in, right? What comes in, by the way, when you start to get something really cooking? Fear, doubt. Let's talk about the doubt. I got to tell you, 12-step program, I need to go to the doubt 12-step program. Because I notice, here's the thing, I wrote a book called Play Your Bigger Game, and I just constantly look there, and I keep thinking and pretending that doubt is finally going to go away someday. What I've learned, and I'm probably singing to the choir, the doubt gets louder with the game that I'm playing. The bigger it is, the louder the doubt, right? It's just like, whoops. But here's the thing that I kept looking for to fix it for years. And there's a million books that tell me the normal antidote to doubt is courage and confidence. Be courageous. Right? And I don't know about you, but I don't know where the hell to find courage. Right? It's or confidence, right? Be confident. Okay, what does that mean? I think it's a little overrated. Now, Brene Brown, apologies to you. You're all about the courage, girl. I love that. Brene Brown is all about the courage. Her doorway in is a little similar. Here's the thing. The antidote to doubt is not courage and confidence. It's commitment. Because commitment lives outside of me. And when I get committed to you, I find courage and confidence. Think about people you love in your life. Think about your children. You don't actually sit down and go, do I have courage to raise this kid? Right? You're just committed. You're just committed. So the path or the sort of the antidote to our doubt problem is not to go inside and let me find some courage, and God willing, I find some. It's what am I committed to here? So again, that's the bigger question to look at. Is what am I committed to with my creative, expressive self? Am I committed to this project? Am I committed to what this wants to be in the world? Am I committed to birthing you and trusting the process and having it be co-created along the way? Or am I all caught in myself and my doubt? And by the way, again, I'm just repeating it, but stop looking for courage and confidence. I dare say that's narcissistic. That's about me. That's a bit radical. I want to be very gentle about how I say that about ourselves. Narcissistic and almost like it's self-absorption. It's a little bit like, let me go find some courage, and I'll go off and spend 6 months finding courage. Instead of this thing is like, are you going to birth me or not? Right? So, play with these ideas. I'm just, again, sharing stuff that's going on. Okay, final thing I want to leave you with is this idea of putting something into the world and trusting that whatever's going on in your life is the resource for your creativity. Whatever's going on in your life right now is the resourceful place to look. Final short story about how this is true. I'm doing a lot of work right now in Japan. And recently I heard a story on NPR. And then I went to Japan and they validated it. Here's the story. The tsunami of a couple years ago from the earthquake, right? Horrific. People washed to sea, right? Thousands and thousands lost, never to be seen again. This farmer, from what I understand, had or found an old phone booth. The dial, they walk into the phone booth and right? And he put it on the edge of his land, which looked over the Japanese Sea, the Sea of Japan. And he had lost somebody, from what I understand, and he had this idea, I'm just going to walk into the phone booth and call my person that I lost. Picked up the phone, had a conversation, said, I miss you, I love you, I'm okay, I'll see you someday, kind of like that. Right, hangs up the phone. He ends up telling a couple friends, they do the same thing. Their friends tell their friends. It's become now a national treasure. There are people lining up. Lining up. There's a beautiful video afterwards. If you guys, I can, send you a link to the church if it would be useful about this experience, because they put a recorder in it, and now you're hearing these Japanese children talking to their grandparents or to their parents who they lost on the phone. I miss you, I love you, I'll see you someday, or their version of that story. The reason why I tell you that story can be sort of a downer, but you can feel the beauty of the creativity, right? Out of that huge challenge, somebody said, I'm going to be creative from this. I'm not going to be reactive to this. It was horrible what happened, but my job is to do something from an improv yes and state. Phone booth, put it on my property, start the game, and the rest is history. Very much like Martin Luther King, I love how you said it. One person at a time. So I leave you all tonight with what is that creativity that wants to come through you? That you're supposed to actually pick up the phone and say yes to it. And say, I want to birth you, and I want to bring you into this world without attachment to what it looks like. I know it's in you. It doesn't matter how old we are in this room. We're never done. We're never done expressing. So thank you for receiving this message. Thank you for the good work you do. I'm speaking to a room full of practitioners and artists. We are having an impact on our planet right now, and I never take that for granted. It's a pleasure and an honor to be with you. God bless you all.